General Hospital spoilers. Michael's secret weapon. Willow's stalking confession destroys her life. Port Charles, New York. In a stunning twist no one saw coming, General Hospital fans are about to witness the unraveling of one of the soap's most cherished characters. Willow Tate Corinthos, beloved schoolteacher and dedicated mother, is headed for a fall so steep that even her closest allies won't be able to save her. And the man orchestrating it all? Her own husband, Michael Corinthos. The domino effect begins with a single, dangerous secret, Willow's shocking confession that she stalked a woman named Daisy years ago. And thanks to Michael's calculated betrayal, the world is about to hear every word. The cracks in Michael and Willow's marriage had been there for months. Since Nina's exposure as Willow's biological mother, there's been tension between the couple about forgiveness, loyalty, and control over family matters. Michael wanted peace. Willow wanted distance. But what Michael hadn't been saying was that he no longer trusted Willow completely. The distrust wasn't just about Nina. Michael had begun noticing inconsistencies in Willow's behavior. She was jumpy around certain names, especially when Daisy came up in casual conversation. The first time it happened, it was during a casual brunch with Brooke Lynn, who mentioned she'd run into a woman named Daisy at the hospital volunteer desk. Willow had dropped her fork and nearly knocked over her coffee. Michael clocked it, filed it away, and started quietly watching. Daisy Kwan was a name some Port Charles residents remembered from years ago. She was connected to Shiloh Archer's Dawn of Day cult and had made brief appearances around town during that dark chapter. What no one knew, except Willow, was that after Dawn of Day collapsed, she'd run into Daisy in a completely different setting, and it had gone badly. Very badly. Willow had become obsessed with Daisy after discovering she'd kept certain cult records that might implicate Willow in helping another member escape prosecution. Instead of letting it go, Willow had secretly followed Daisy, tracked her online, and even shown up at her workplace pretending it was just a coincidence. It escalated into confrontations, threatening notes, and late-night visits to Daisy's apartment door. Daisy never pressed charges, out of fear, she claimed, but the trauma was enough to drive her out of Port Charles. Or so Willow thought. Michael's growing suspicion turned into a plan when he overheard Willow muttering Daisy's name in her sleep. He didn't confront her directly. Instead, he decided to bait her into confessing. He suggested they have a private date night at the Quartermain boathouse, somewhere quiet, romantic, just for them. But Michael wasn't planning candlelit intimacy. Hidden in the sleeve of his jacket was a high-quality voice recorder. During dinner, Michael casually mentioned that he'd seen Daisy at the Metro Court lobby earlier in the week. Willow froze, her smile faltering. Michael watched the color drain from her face, then gently pressed, "I didn't know you knew her. Is there a story there?" Willow's hands trembled as she set down her wine glass. "Michael, if I tell you, you have to promise it stays between us." Michael nodded, encouraging her. And then, the dam broke. In halting, emotional bursts, Willow confessed everything. How she'd seen Daisy after Dawn of Day collapsed, how she'd convinced herself Daisy still had cult records, how she'd followed her for weeks, showed up uninvited, and sent anonymous threats. She admitted she couldn't stop because she was terrified Daisy might ruin her new life. "I stalked her, Michael," Willow whispered, eyes brimming with tears. "I know it's wrong. I was just scared. But I crossed the line. If anyone knew, I'd lose my career, my reputation, my life." Michael, hiding his true thoughts, reached for her hand and said soothingly, "It's in the past, Willow. You can trust me." All the while, the recorder in his pocket captured every word. Why would Michael betray the woman he once called the love of his life? The answer was a tangled mix of resentment and strategy. Michael had been playing a long game in the corporate war for Yelku control. Willow had been increasingly opinionated about his decisions, even questioning his partnership with Ned. To Michael, Willow's moral superiority had become grating, and her confession gave him the leverage he needed to take back complete control over his life and family. On top of that, Michael still carried bitterness from her refusal to reconcile with Nina. He saw it as hypocrisy. She demanded second chances for herself, yet condemned others forever. Maybe she needs to see what it feels like to be on the other side, Michael told himself. Michael didn't release the recording himself. That would have been too obvious. Instead, he accidentally left his phone unlocked in the Yelku conference room with the recording queued up. Brooke Lynn, ever the curious courtemane, overheard it while looking for a document. Within hours, the audio had been quietly sent to multiple people, including Nina, Carly, and Sasha. And in Port Charles, secrets don't stay contained. The first public consequence came when GH's HR department called Willow in for a private meeting. Someone had anonymously forwarded them the recording, claiming it proved Willow had engaged in criminal harassment. Though the events happened years ago, the hospital's board couldn't ignore the optics. Within 48 hours, Willow was placed on indefinite leave pending an investigation. Elizabeth tried to defend her, but even she admitted the recording was damning. "You didn't just follow her once, Willow, you made it sound like a pattern." At home, the tension between Michael and Willow exploded. She accused him of not defending her publicly, not realizing he was the one who'd started it all. Michael played the role of the supportive husband in front of the kids, but subtly pushed the narrative that maybe Willow should focus on family right now instead of work. Wiley, overhearing arguments, began asking if Mommy was bad. The heartbreak in Willow's eyes was palpable. She was losing not just her job, but her image as the stable, loving mother. Nina wasted no time using the recording to her advantage. She approached the family court mediator, hinting that Willow's pattern of obsessive behavior should be considered in any custody or visitation arrangement involving Wiley. Though Nina didn't have a direct path to custody, she managed to stir up enough gossip to make Willow's life miserable at the Metro Court and in every public setting. Willow's breaking point came when she overheard Michael on the phone with Ned, saying, "It worked better than I thought." She's completely discredited now. Realizing Michael had orchestrated her downfall, Willow confronted him in the courtemane living room. "You recorded me," she accused, her voice shaking. "You destroyed me, your wife, the mother of your children, just to win some corporate game." Michael's expression was cold. "You did this to yourself, Willow. I just made sure the truth came out." With her reputation shattered, her marriage effectively over, and her job gone, Willow moved out of the courtemane mansion. Carly tried to comfort her but admitted she couldn't take sides in a fight involving Michael. The final scene of the arc shows Willow sitting alone in a small rented room, staring at her phone as a text from an unknown number appears.